Is this a perfect car if you're looking for an EV that has a good range, is fairly affordable and is also quite comfortable? Because the BYD Seal U got an 87 kilowatts an hour battery for a decent starting price. And the starting price is only 42,990 euros. However, with that you only get a 71.8 kilowatts an hour battery. If you want to pick up the bigger battery, that's going to come with the design variant for 47,590 euros. And for its price segment, that's a very big battery. When you're selecting the car, you get everything selected apart from the color. That's the only thing you can choose extra, which on here is the Tianqing color, which, just a little bit of a side fact, was a color that was inspired by the Song dynasty of an emperor who wanted to have that wonderful blue sky after a rainfall. So he said to his artists, give me a color that looks exactly like that, and that's the Tianqing color. Yeah, we don't have that beautiful sky right now. You can choose between 6 different colors. If you get the standard one, the white color, it's not going to cost you an extra. Otherwise, 1,100 euros for all the extra ones. Let's look at the design in the front. Again, we have it standing here in the design variant, so we get everything basically selected. We get full LED lights here in the front, which are quite decent. High beam assistant, however, I have turned that off because when it's not matrix LED, they will always blend out oncoming traffic, but not as a fairly decent job. Because if you're driving on a highway with a separation in the center and then there's a truck coming, most of the times they're still going to blend them because they can't really see them. Otherwise, down here we get a little bit of fake curtains on the side, BYD in the center. But compared to the normal Seal, which we already had done a review, if you want to check that out, top right corner, we surprisingly don't get a frunk in here, but I'm pretty sure you can get an aftermarket frunk installation in here because, I mean, there's a ton of space in here and I've never seen an electric car look like this. I mean, just look at how much space there is. You can definitely put something in here. Reminds me a little bit of the previous generation of the Dacia Spring, where they also didn't have anything in here, but for around 15 euros or something, you could have gotten something installed in there to make it look just a little bit nicer and give you the capability of putting a charging cable or something like that in the front. Otherwise, we get cameras in the front, full 360-degree camera. We don't have a grille, obviously, because it's that full EV, and otherwise a fairly clean-looking design in the front, but you can definitely tell it's a rised-up car. It looks fairly high onto the, off the floor. And let's quickly look at the power output of this car. You can obviously choose between the comfort and the design. The comfort gets a 310 Newton meter strong engine with 218 horsepower, front-wheel drive. That's going to get you from 0 to 100 in 9.3 seconds with a top speed of 175 kilometers an hour. If you get the design variant, you get the exact same engine. Apart from that, you get 330 Newton meters compared to 310. 0 to 100 is then also going to be lower at 9.6 because the car is going to weigh in at around 150 kilograms more. Same top speed of 175 kilometers an hour with a CV value of 0.32. And design on the back, fairly simply made here. We have a fairly small rear window, a little bit of a roof spoiler with your light integrated in there. This full LED bar going all the way through, which does look fairly decent in my opinion. Again, some fake elements here on this side and a little bit more of an element down here. When it comes to the towing capacity, both of the variants are going to tow 1.3 tons, which is not bad. Electrical cars really depends on how often you are going to tow in there. 552 liters up to 1,440 liters. Again, not the most. Some other cars in the segment will offer a little bit more space. On the side, you have a little bit of space here on the side where you can put something in, but on the right side, there's not going to be anything. And if you look down here, there is not going to be much space there. Just a little bit space for your charging cable when you're charging the car at home, but that's about it. You get a head rack on the top, and you can obviously also flip over the rear seats in a 40-60 split. And let's quickly also talk about some competition. Standard-wise, you can obviously also get a Volkswagen ID.4 or the Skoda Enyaq, which are both going to start around 40,000 or 44,000. 77 kilowatts an hour battery, I think, is what the norm is there now. And a Peugeot E3008 for 48,000. However, in those cars, all of them, you are still going to have to equip a lot of things. In here, you basically already get that equipped for the starting price of those cars, and you get 10 kilowatts an hour more, however, smaller charging speed. When it comes to the dimension of the car, 4 meters and 78 long, 1 meter and 89 wide without the side mirrors extended, and 2 meters and 8 centimeters wide with them being extended, with the height of 1 meter and 67 and a wheelbase of 2 meters and 76 centimeters. Otherwise, we obviously got that 87 kilowatts an hour battery with the Belate battery in here. So a fairly slim one and low to the ground, which allows for quite a good amount of space in the inside. Every single variant is going to come with 19-inch rims, which you can see on here. You're not going to have any options in those. Side mirrors automatically foldable. We also have keyless entry and keyless go. If we press the button on the side, you can open or close it. Tinted windows here on the rear. And we also have our charging port where we can charge the car, and we're going to do a little bit of a charging test now. So we just done our charging test. The smaller battery comes with a 71.8 kilowatts an hour and the design variant with that 87 kilowatts an hour net usage of the battery, which is quite big for the price segment. However, the charging speed is going to be on the lower end when it comes to the segment. We're looking at a max charging speed of 140 kilowatts here. If you compare it to the comfort level, that's going to be 115 kilowatts, so quite a lot slower. But the nice thing is you can, well, not nice thing, if you're looking at 10 to 80%, you're charging at around 42 minutes. When you're just looking at 20 to 80%, it's around 32 minutes. We were charging here at an average speed of, actually I don't have the average speed, I'll give that to you in a second here. We were charging the car from 22 up to 80%, well, at least we were trying to. We actually got up to 91%, I'll tell you that in a second. And that took us around 30 minutes with an average speed of 108.3 kilowatts, which is quite decent. At the max charging speed was also 126, quite fast. So a total of 30 minutes. But the weird thing is I was trying to stop it at 80%, and then the car decided to, in the matter of a minute, just jump from 80% up to 91%. I don't know what happened there. The car maybe thought, wait, I'm actually not at 80%, I'm at 91%. So theoretically, we actually got up to 90%, and it still claims it in the inside. So I don't know exactly what happened there. But yeah, that is the charging curve for the BYD Seal U. And join me in the back now, where you can see I'm 1.80 meters tall, 5'11", and I get a lot of space here. New room is very, very plenty, and the seats are somewhat squishy, so even if I'm, I don't know, 2 meters tall, I can still put my feet and my knees in there. Feet room, however, is not too much. If you put the seat up higher, obviously going to be a little bit more. And support here for my thigh. If I'm moving all the way forward, it is quite comfortable. If I'm sitting, however, like this, I'm not going to be supported. Headroom is also quite good. I'm looking at almost 4 fingers of, is that 4 fingers? Yeah, that's 4 fingers. 4 fingers of height there between the top and the bottom. What you can also do is move the seats here on the side. You see this thing? So you can move them a little bit more forward or even backwards if you want, so you can almost lounge in here kind of. Let's also look at the quality here on the side. Quality up top, quite nice. Infinity sound system in here. Get this little bit of blacker material and then some more metal there, and quite nice material everywhere, as well as even where you put your elbow, you're going to be looking at nicer material. When it comes to the center, you can also choose a little bit of air conditioning in here, however not your own climatization. When it comes to climate zone, you don't have, or you have 2 USB-Cs and a little bit of storage space in the center, as well as a center armrest where you have 2 cup holders in the center, as well as the wonderful panoramic window, which you can theoretically open all the way above your head. And now join me in the inside of the BYD Seal U. You can tell it looks familiar to, for instance, a normal Seal. Steering wheel, all physical buttons, quite nice. Some quick binds on there, which is quite nice. I'll go into those a little bit more when I'm driving. Heads-up display, we get a digital cockpit and also this big infotainment display where you have that little gimmick where you can press this button. It's going to rotate. I don't know how many times you're going to do that. It's just a gimmick, and when it's up like this, just a little bit too high in my opinion. So I like to have it like this, so horizontal looks a little bit nicer. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, quite easy to use actually. There's not too many functions in here apart from when you actually go into the settings. Then you have quite a lot of things. And then if you look at the, for instance, the variant that we have in here, the design, will get ambient lighting with all different colors and a couple of other stuff like the heads-up display. You won't get that in the comfort variant. Otherwise, quite a lot of things you can do in there, and you can also slide it up from the, or slide it down from the top. And then there's the e-warning assistant, which you can quickly turn off, which is quite nice. And you also have heated, ventilated, and there we go, seats, as well as a steering wheel, which is also heated. So quite a lot of standard features that you already get in here. And one other thing that's also different in here compared to the comfort variant, if I go again because I just saw it, you also have air, you have like a cleaning system in here, so I can clean the inside now, and it shows you the kind of values of your PM value, I guess. That you don't get in the normal variant. It cleans the inside. Let me turn that off again. You have a couple of quick binds down here, for instance, for your climatization, your drive modes, your recuperation, and also your auto hold and stuff like that. Also 2 inductive charging spaces in here, which is quite nice. We get really good quality all throughout, I gotta say. It is fairly high standard in here. Further down, obviously gonna be hard plastic, but still not in gray. You can get the inside in this kind of gray, or this color we have in here, which is this blue and white color, looking quite nice. And we also in here have the Infinity sound system, which you don't get in the Comfort variant. That's another difference you get in here. Also a very big glove compartment down here, for instance. There's a lot of things you can put down there. And 2 cup holders, as you can see right in the center. Let's look at the reversing camera, because that's going to be a full 360-degree camera. Again, quite nice. You can go into, for instance, 3D mode. There we go. And it shows you, it's not in the color of the car, but it does show you. You can look on the side, stuff like that. It is quite nice. And if you want that quick, you can press on the button here on the side, which is just going to get you back. If I'm going to D, you can see I can turn it off or on, and it works at any speeds. So let's go and drive off here. Obviously it's an EV, so there's not going to be any sounds when you're starting off, no engine sound or something like that, which is always quite comfortable. I'm also going to turn that off because when I'm driving it, this does distract me. And I gotta go back into Google Maps because I'm heading to a location where I don't know where I'm having to drive. And one thing when you start off right away, you notice the car is quite comfortable to drive. The suspension here is definitely not on a sportier side, it's more on a comfortable side, which is quite nice for this car. If you're trying to then go sportier, that's not going to be really a case in this car. You do still get 200 and those 18 horsepower, which is still not bad, 330 Newton meters. But then that's the other thing. If you accelerate in this car, we'll do it here in a second when we have a little more space where it's actually 100, your wheels will sometimes lose a little bit of traction. Then its traction control is going to regulate them down. But you do sometimes still have that feeling where it is going to, well, get a little bit of traction issue, which is quite surprising for a car that is not that powerful, I gotta say. We didn't have that in, for instance, the BYD Seal, which had the performance variant in there that had 400 something horsepower. I don't think we ever had problems there with a little bit too much wheel spin in there. I don't think that was an issue. But otherwise, when you're driving this, there's also a lot of safety features in here. Like I already said, 360-degree camera, blind spot assistant, and that police is going to have to pass now because he just wants to overtake and probably don't want to wait in the line here. Rear window is also fairly small, so you're not going to see much out of that, as well as the pillar there. There's going to be quite a big blind spot in there. But again, with that 360-degree camera, which you can turn on at any driving point, is quite nice. And therefore, I don't think there is much of an issue when driving this in the city, for instance, because that 360-degree camera is going to do a lot for you in order to, well, maneuver in the city. Turning circles around 11 meters as well, which is not bad for the size of the car. Let's also look at the consumption that we've been getting. If you look straight ahead, you can see BYD always does it a little bit weird, where it only shows you the last 50 kilometers of what you've actually used as your combined consumption. I've been looking now at 15.1 kilowatts an hour, and that is completely just in the city driving on normal and with standard recuperation. You could theoretically also put it into high. I kind of like to put it onto standard. It doesn't really change too much. And there's also the normal BYD. Doesn't change too much. And if I remember correct, 3.8 seconds I think it was, because it said it on the bottom right when you're looking at the back. It says 3.8 seconds 0 to 100. Okay, yeah. That is also something you do when you're driving a Chinese car. Everyone wants to cut you off, apparently. Don't know what that was. But like I said, it's a little bit weird. They always do it like that. Let's also quickly go into sport mode. Just want to accelerate here from 30 to 50. That's up to 60. There was no traction issue there, but when you're accelerating, sometimes, like I said, it does a traction issue. We'll look at it in a second, hopefully. If we go back into the main menu and we go into our car, we go into settings, we go into energy, and we go into energy consumption. Total of 8,000 kilometers on this car and 22.2 kilowatts an hour is the normal consumption on here. Like I said, since I've been, the last 50 kilometers just in the city, 15.1. So I think fairly decent when you're doing longer ranges. I honestly haven't driven on the Autobahn yet, so I can't really tell you what the consumption is on there. But I think this gives you a fairly good estimate, 22.2 kilowatts an hour, as this car is mainly used to also be transported to auto journalists, and therefore lots of times on the Autobahn. That's where that issue comes into mind, where I kind of think, okay, The charging speed just isn't the highest on this car compared to some other cars in the segment. But you get a fairly big battery for the price that you're paying there, which is quite nice. You can see I'm 88% right now, 453 kilometers, which is quite a lot. And that again, that is something you might want to keep in mind, okay? I get more range, get a bigger battery, but my charging stops are going to be a lot longer compared to the competitors. So I've put it into sport mode, and let's just see the acceleration from around 70, or maybe even a little bit slower, up to around 100 here on the Autobahn. Isolation now at this point, in my opinion, fairly decent. Driving here at 80s, it's a little bit of a windier day today, but the isolation is fairly decent for this car in my opinion. And like I said, the suspension here does just a really good job of being smooth. And there's that acceleration up to 100, 120. This is also kickdown. I'm just going to overtake him real quick as well. 130, top speed of 175, 140. Yeah, wind noise just a little bit over here, but still very, very quiet inside in my opinion. Just a window that is a little bit intrusive here with that wind sound. We also get a panoramic window if you haven't noticed yet, which is also quite big. You can also open that, so it's not just a visual aid, it's also, well, you can open it. There's some buttons up here, quick buttons, where you can obviously open it or close it to your liking. And like I said, sportiness, yeah, the car is gonna have quite a lot of body lean, and you can hear everything around in the back. It's just not going to be a car that you want to drive sporty. It's also fairly high up. You definitely tell on the outside, but when you're driving it, the Seal definitely just felt a lot more sporty and more agile compared to this one when you're driving here. And now let's quickly just see that what I meant. There you go. I mean, it's still, even there at at around 60, it still did some wheel spins. I don't know why, because it is such a slow kick. I'm surprised it does so much wheel spin there. I don't know what they really did there. Traction control then kicks in, tries to regulate a little bit. It's just a little bit interesting. But otherwise, it's a really comfortable car to drive. Very good standard equipment on here. And if you're using it in the city, it's also very practical with a big boot, so for a family car. And it's a good amount of range there. So really not too much complaints when you're driving, apart from obviously a little bit of that wheel spin. Infotainment display might be a little bit intrusive because there's a lot of things you can do. Well, there's a lot of things that can distract you. You have to go up here. Climatization is all done through that. But otherwise, there's really not much too many complaints when driving this. So what is my final verdict on the BYD Seal U? The car, standard-wise, already comes with a lot of things equipped. There is going to be a lot of price advantage when you're picking up this car compared to other competitors, because, like I said, everything is standardly equipped. There's a couple of things, however, I'm not the biggest fan of. First of all, those traction issues. The element of the infotainment display can sometimes be a little bit annoying, and obviously the charging speed is not the best. If you're looking at longer trips, you get a fairly decent range with that 87 kilowatts an hour battery, but that charging time is obviously going to limit you a little bit on your journey when you're driving, because you're going to have to take a lot more stops, and it's going to in general just take you a little bit longer. But I think standard-wise, this is already a great car. Like I said, lots of things you get, and the price is definitely a plus point for this car. What do you think of this car? If you have one, let me know in the comments. What do you think of it? And make sure to like, subscribe. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.